You weren't born to play small. You weren't meant to shrink so others feel comfortable. Confidence isn't luck, it's a skill. And today you're going to learn exactly how to master it. Confidence doesn't come from shouting the loudest or faking it till you make it. Real confidence is quiet, grounded, and undeniable. In this video you'll discover 9 secrets that will help you build unstoppable self-belief from the inside out. Let's rewrite the story you've been telling yourself. Number 1. Keep the promises you make to yourself. Confidence isn't some magical trait reserved for the chosen few. It's built through consistent, deliberate action, and it begins with something most people overlook: the promises you make to yourself. Think about it. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," but don't. Every time you tell yourself, "I'm going to wake up early," but hit snooze 10 times. Every time you plan to go to the gym, write that email, speak your mind, but you bail. You send a message to yourself, "I can't trust me." Over time, those broken promises don't just impact your productivity, they erode your self-belief. Your brain starts to doubt your word. You stop taking yourself seriously, and that's when confidence crumbles. Not because you're weak, but because you've trained yourself to expect failure. Now imagine the opposite. You say, "I'm getting up at 6, and you do, even when it's cold, even when you're tired. You say, "I'm not eating junk this week," and you hold the line. You commit to a habit, and you follow through, not for anyone else, but for you. Every time you follow through, you prove something powerful. I am who I say I am, and that is the real root of confidence, not in bravado, not in applause, but in quiet self-trust. The most confident people in the room aren't the loudest. They're the ones who know they show up for themselves daily. They don't need validation, because they have evidence. Evidence from hundreds of micro moments where they chose discipline over comfort, action over excuse, integrity over impulse. So if you want to become the most confident person you know, start small. Pick one promise today, just one. Maybe it's to drink a gallon of water. Maybe it's to walk for 20 minutes. Maybe it's to write 1 page of that book you've been putting off. And keep it. Then do it again tomorrow. Let the scale be simple and manageable at first. Confidence doesn't require intensity, it demands consistency. Small, repeated wins build the kind of momentum that can move mountains. Eventually something shifts inside you. You no longer need to feel confident. You are confident, because when you say something you mean it. When you decide, you follow through. You've become someone you can count on. And that, more than anything, is the foundation of unshakable confidence. Not what others think of you, but what you think of yourself. So remember, every broken promise chips away at your belief, but every kept promise, it lays another brick in the foundation of the most important relationship you'll ever have. The one you have with yourself. Start building. Number 2, embrace discomfort as a growth signal. Most people run from discomfort. They treat it like a warning sign, something to avoid at all costs. But here's the truth. Discomfort isn't danger, it's direction. It's not a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're growing. And if you want to build real confidence, you have to stop avoiding discomfort and start leaning into it. Think of every confident person you admire. Do you know what they all have in common? They've been through something. They've had the courage to step into situations where the outcome wasn't guaranteed. They've pushed through awkwardness, fear, and doubt. And that experience earned through discomfort is what makes them walk tall, speak clearly, and act with conviction. Discomfort is a classroom. It teaches you things comfort never could. When you do something uncomfortable, speaking up in a room full of people, making a cold call, admitting you were wrong, your mind learns something essential: you can survive. And not just survive, you can thrive. Each uncomfortable action is like a vote for your future self. You're casting a ballot that says, "I'm the kind of person who faces what others flee from." Confidence isn't about being fearless. That's a myth. Confidence is about doing it afraid. It's walking into that tough conversation with your heart pounding but your head high. It's standing on stage even when your palms sweat. It's saying yes to the opportunity that stretches you, even when you don't feel 100% ready. Because here's the secret. No one feels ready. Readiness is a lie we tell ourselves to delay the leap. You don't get confidence then take action. You take action then build confidence. It's earned in the fire of discomfort. Let's take a simple example. Going to the gym for the first time. You feel awkward, self-conscious, maybe even embarrassed, but you go anyway. That's a confidence rep. Then you go again, another rep. Each time it gets a little easier. Not because the gym changed, but because you did. You stopped letting discomfort define your decision. Now flip that into every area of your life. Speak up even if your voice shakes. Apply for the job even if you think you're not qualified. Say I don't know and ask questions, even if it makes you feel vulnerable. Every time you act in the face of discomfort, you train your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. You teach your mind, I can handle this. That's where real confidence lives. And here's something powerful to remember. Discomfort is temporary, but the confidence it builds is lasting. Most of the things you're afraid of won't even matter a year from now, but the skills, grit, and courage you build from facing them will stay with you forever. So if you want to become the most confident person you know, stop chasing comfort, chase growth. Chase courage, because on the other side of discomfort is the strongest, most unshakable version of you. Number 3, speak powerfully to yourself. If someone followed you around all day, repeating every thought you had about yourself out loud, would you consider that person a friend or a bully? The truth is, the way you talk to yourself shapes everything: your mood, your actions, your self-image. Confidence begins with language. And your internal dialogue is the most powerful language you'll ever use. Most people sabotage their confidence without even realizing it. They say things like, I'm so stupid, I always mess this up, I'll never be as good as them, or that's just not who I am. These statements don't just reflect low confidence, they create it. Your brain believes what you repeat, even if it's negative. Over time, those words become your identity. But here's the good news. You can rewire that narrative. You can start speaking powerfully, intentionally, and with purpose. You can replace self-doubt with self-leadership. It starts with awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts. Start catching those moments where you're tearing yourself down, and instead of just letting them run on autopilot, interrupt them. Don't just listen, challenge them. You might think, I'm terrible at this. Replace it with, I'm learning something new. And every mistake is part of that process. You might say, I can't do that, but change it to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm getting better every day. This isn't about cheesy affirmations or pretending everything is perfect. It's about speaking to yourself with the same respect, encouragement, and belief that you would offer a close friend. And here's the key: repetition matters. The more often you speak powerfully to yourself, the more your brain wires itself to believe. Confidence becomes your default setting, not because everything is easy, but because you've trained your mind to expect effort, growth, and resilience. This is how high performers operate. They talk to themselves like winners, even when they lose. When they fall short, they don't say, I'm a failure. They say, that didn't work. What's the lesson here? They coach themselves through tough moments instead of criticizing themselves for having them. You can do the same. Be your own coach, not your own critic. Start small. Write down 3 powerful identity-based phrases that align with the person you want to become. For example, I do hard things. I follow through. I grow through what I go through. Repeat them daily. Say them when you wake up. Say them before challenges. Say them until they're no longer motivational. They're just who you are. Because the most confident people you know, they didn't wait until life was easy. They built their confidence from the inside out, starting with their self-talk. You can't control every situation, but you can control how you speak to yourself. And that one shift might just change your entire life. So choose your words wisely. Your confidence is listening. Number 4, do hard things regularly. Confidence isn't built in comfort. It's forged in resistance, sharpened in adversity, and strengthened every time you do something difficult, especially when no one's watching. You see, most people avoid hard things. They look for the shortcut, the hack, the easy way out. But here's what they miss. The difficult path is the shortcut, because it transforms you. When you do hard things on purpose, You're not just achieving external goals, you're shaping your internal identity into someone who believes in themselves deeply, unshakably. Doing hard things tells your brain, I am capable, I am resilient, I don't break under pressure, I rise through it. Let's get practical. Hard things can be simple, but powerful. Waking up at 5:30 when your bed is warm and your body says no. Saying no to that second helping when your cravings say yes. Making the uncomfortable phone call. Setting the boundary. Asking for what you need. Telling the truth when a lie would be easier. These are small acts, but they build massive strength. Because each time you do something hard, you cast a vote for the kind of person who doesn't flinch in the face of challenge. And that's exactly what confidence is. Evidence that you can handle what life throws at you. The key is consistency. Don't wait for hard things to show up. Go seek them. Build them into your life like training reps. A cold shower, a tough workout, a bold decision, a courageous conversation. These aren't punishments, they're preparation. Preparation for when life gets really difficult. Because let's be honest, it will. And when that moment comes, you won't fold. You'll remember all the times you chose the harder path and survived. That memory bank becomes your reservoir of confidence. James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. Well, here's a truth to live by. You do not rise to the level of your dreams, you rise to the level of what you're willing to endure, and confidence is built through endurance. So stop asking for easy. Start asking, what's the hard thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? And then do it. Because doing hard things isn't about proving something to others, it's about proving something to yourself. It's about looking in the mirror and knowing that you've got grit, you've got guts, you've got the kind of strength that can't be faked. So if you want to become the most confident person you know, start here. Do something hard today, not for the result, but for the reminder that you are built for more. Number 5, don't chase approval, give it to yourself. Confidence doesn't come from being liked, it comes from being honest. Honest with yourself about who you are, what you value, and what you're no longer willing to compromise just to fit in. If you're constantly looking around the room wondering if people approve of you, you'll never hear your own voice clearly, and your voice is exactly where confidence is born. Here's the harsh truth, approval from others is addictive, but it's also unreliable. You might get applause today and silence tomorrow. You might be everyone's favorite this week, and forgotten the next. So if your self-worth is tied to their opinions, you'll ride an emotional roller coaster you don't control. The confident person gets off that ride. They stop chasing approval like it's oxygen. They start validating themselves through effort, consistency, and values, not likes, applause, or praise. They understand this. The world reflects how you treat yourself. When you carry yourself with dignity, people take notice, but more importantly, you take note. So how do you stop needing approval? You begin by approving of your own decisions. You trust your judgment. You stop explaining or justifying every little thing to people who don't share your values. You stop diluting yourself to make others comfortable. You give yourself permission to show up fully, even if someone in the room doesn't get you. And guess what? Some people won't like you. That's life. But confidence isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about being respected by the right ones. Starting with yourself. This shift is powerful. When you approve of yourself, you stop second-guessing every move. You stop asking what will they think and start asking, is this right for me? You stop comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You no longer need to impress, you just need to express. Here's a mindset shift. Not everyone's opinion is worth the same weight. You wouldn't take financial advice from someone who's broke, so why take confidence advice from someone who doesn't even respect themselves? Be selective about the voices you listen to, and make sure yours is the loudest, clearest, and most consistent. And this doesn't mean arrogance, it means self-respect. You walk into a room without needing to prove your worth because you already know it. You speak with conviction, not to dominate but because you've done the inner work to believe in what you're saying. You can still be kind, you can still be humble, but you're no longer available for self-abandonment in exchange for applause. So if you want to become the most confident person you know, stop looking outward, look inward. Ask yourself, what would my life look like if I no longer needed anyone's permission to be myself? Then live that answer boldly, fully, and unapologetically, because once you approve of yourself, you become unstoppable. Number 6. Focus on progress, not perfection. Perfection is the enemy of confidence. It tells you you're not good enough until everything is flawless. It whispers, don't even try unless you know you'll succeed. And worst of all, it convinces you that mistakes are shameful instead of necessary. But here's the truth. Confidence isn't built through perfection. It's built through progress. Think about how we learn anything meaningful. Riding a bike, learning a language, mastering a skill. None of it is linear. You wobble, you fall, you mess up, and each time you get back up. That's where growth lives. Not in perfect execution, but in repeated effort. The problem is, perfectionists wait. They wait until the timing feels right, until the plan is airtight, until every possible detail is controlled. And while they wait, the confident person is out there taking imperfect action, learning through experience, gaining momentum, and stacking wins. Progress is what gives you feedback. It shows you what works and what doesn't. It gives you data, not drama. And as you take one step, then another, your confidence grows. Not because you're perfect, but because you're in motion. When you embrace progress over perfection, you stop asking, is this good enough? And start asking, is this better than yesterday? That shift is massive. It frees you to try, to fail, to get up again, and most importantly, to keep going. James Clear writes about the power of getting 1% better every day. That may not seem like much at first, but it compounds. Over time, it leads to extraordinary transformation. Confidence works the same way. It's built in tiny layers, each one laid down by consistent, deliberate action. You write one page, even if it's not brilliant. You go to the gym, even if you're tired. You speak up, even if your voice shakes. These aren't glamorous victories, but they matter. They're proof that you're showing up when it counts, which is always more important than showing up when it's easy. Here's a mindset to live by. Done is better than perfect. Tried is better than feared. Progress is better than potential. Don't die with potential. Live with progress. You don't need to crush it every time. You don't need to win every battle. What you need is to keep showing up. Every time you do, you become a little stronger, a little wiser, a little more certain that you're capable. And that certainty, that's confidence. So drop the idea that you have to have it all figured out. You don't. No one does. The most confident people you know are still learning, still failing, still growing. The difference is they're not paralyzed by perfection. They're propelled by progress. Make that your standard. Show up, improve, repeat. Confidence will follow.